So, with this election now being over, the most consequential election of my lifetime, I believe anyway, being over, we now know that Donald Trump is number 47 in the White House, which also means that Kamala Harris lost. And there's a lot of reasons that we could talk about why she lost. And I want to give 5 reasons why I believe Kamala Harris lost. And the first reason that I believe Kamala Harris lost is that she's not a real person. I mean, if you think about Kamala Harris and when she goes and she does interviews, whether it be at a stump, whether it was in an actual interview, or even if she was just talking to regular people, she always stayed on script. She never went off script. It was almost like she was a manufactured person who didn't have the ability to really just talk and have a normal conversation like a normal person. And I know that pushed a lot of people away and turned a lot of people off. On top of that, well, the other thing she did that I don't know why she did it, because she didn't have to, she just changed her race. All of a sudden, she went from being an Indian woman to a black woman. And then they kind of mixed it up in there at the end saying, that she was an Indian black woman. But we already know she ran as the first Indian woman when she won her race out in California. So to me, that was a huge misstep. I don't know why she did it other than to try to pander to black folks to get our vote. But she should have just stayed an Indian woman. I think she would have been just fine by doing that. The next thing that I believe why Kamala lost is that she has no real convictions. What I mean by that is it's okay to change your position on things. We've seen J.D. Vance do it right. He called Trump, basically Hitler, but then changed his mind. But the thing is, he was able to articulate in interviews and when he was pressed on it about why. Kamala, during this whole campaign, has changed her issues virtually on everything that she stood for in the past. And she really hasn't been able to substantiate why that is. And because of that, to me, major turnoff. And I'm a firm believer that when you do something, that you have to actually have conviction in what you're doing. It's the only way you're going to come across as authentic. It's just like right now in the video space. People watching videos know who's authentic, who's being real, and who's just trying to be fake and do propaganda and stuff like that. And to me, that's exactly what Kamala Harris did. It's why somebody like Bernie Sanders, for example, people galvanized behind him. I was not a Bernie supporter at all because I think his positions were radical, but at least Bernie has convictions about himself, and Kamala just flat out does not. The next thing that I want to say why she lost, and I know a lot of people don't want to grapple with this, but let's be honest, it's because she is a woman, and there's just some men, even some women out there, by the way, that I've heard, who just doesn't want a woman to lead the country. They think, and again, not my opinion, because again, as I said, that what I vote for a woman, if it was competent woman with competent man, I'm probably going to vote for the man because I believe in the hierarchy that God created from God, man, woman, children. But with that said, if I had a Gavin Newsom running on the Democratic side and a Tulsi Gabbard running on the Republican side, I'm voting for Tulsi Gabbard. This wasn't that kind of scenario though, because clearly Trump is way more competent than Kamala. But there is a faction of men out there that was just flat out not going to vote for her because she is a woman. After that, the next reason I will say that she lost is that she was never picked by real voters. In 2019, when she ran, she didn't even make it to the primary because she got basically ousted by Tulsi Gabbard. Didn't even make it to even considering getting a single vote. And then this time, the Democratic Party that preached on and on and on about democracy, then turned around and pulled a coup, kicked Joe Biden out, pushed him down the stairs, and then Joe Biden on his way down the stairs says, "You're gonna take Kamala." And then they had no choice but to take her. And because of that, voters really didn't have the opportunity to really look into her, gauge how she is in interviews and debates and things like that, and they were just forced on. And I guess as Some people do. They just take whatever's given to them, and that's what people in my party don't want to go with. But I also believe that's exactly why the American people didn't want to go with it either. And so she was never going to win based on that alone. And then my last reason why I believe that she lost was simply people weren't buying that she's different than Biden. Everybody already knows that she's a part of this administration, good, bad, or indifferent. And we already know that because of that point, she had several things that she was tasked with as a VP that she just completely failed on. Like, for example, the border crisis. She was a border czar, whether people want to admit it or not. And she was tasked with fixing the border, and we've seen it explode and get worse. On top of that, she casted tie-breaking votes, the most of any VP ever, more than 30, that actually caused the hyperinflation that we saw when they passed the Inflation Increasing Act. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act, play on words, but y'all get the point. Things like that, the CHIPS Act, stuff like that, the infrastructure bill, all things that were going to just completely balloon our deficit and do things that the American people simply did not want done. On top of that, the other thing that we saw happen was Trump was in office, no new wars. She gets in, she goes to the Munich Council to speak to Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine and other world leaders, and the next thing you know, everything blows up. Russia, Ukraine happens, Israel happens, right, with Palestine bombing them, or, well, at least attacking them, well, I should say not bombing, but attacking. Want to be accurate when I say this stuff. But we saw all this stuff happen, and we already know that she was tasked with these things, and she failed horribly at all of them. Those are just 5 reasons why I believe Kamala Harris lost. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Why do you think Kamala Harris lost? Well, even still, we have President Trump, thank the good Lord, number 47. But until the next video, I hope you all have a good one. God bless America. We're going to make it great again, y'all. And I'll talk to y'all later. Take care.